crises. So this is the reason we've organized an event after going to Wall Street ourselves and also going to New London and hearing from professors and students who've been there. So this is the first part of the meeting, as she said. Second part is going to have Stack. I'm just going to introduce Stack to you briefly. Stack is the list of people who want to speak, and we can agree on whether we want modified Stack, which is underrepresented groups like women, minorities, historically underrepresented groups will get precedence over more privileged groups. So we can decide on that. Without further ado, or if someone else wants to introduce themselves from GC Descent, we can start, because many. Yes. One more thing. If any, we'd like this to be active. So if anybody has opinions, I mean everybody does have some sort of opinions. We hope we can have something called temperature check. This is something they do in Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street. So if you feel that you agree, right? If you feel so about it, and at every comment you can make this, and this is a great way of knowing. And this is not so much. If you're in complete solidarity, you can punch. Or, as art should be, or unorganized meeting should be, you can shout or whatever you want.
Don't shout.
We don't want to set the terms, because if we set the terms, then your transgressions are within those terms. So,
who's your hierarchy on here?
is anyone averse to videotaping?
Temperature check? Okay.
Hi.
So, because the professors need to get out of here early, do you want to do statements?
Okay, so you guys, we're really privileged to have a couple of professors here with us today, some of whom have actually been to Occupy Wall Street, others of whom are, really active on campus and with other things to do with similar to the ideology behind Occupy Wall Street. So we're going to invite them to introduce themselves and maybe give a little bit of background about why you're here and why you're interested.
There's lots of professors here, actually. I'm going to start with the people who've been to New York, you and Ma'am, at least, if not others. And David. That's yours.
I'm waiting for my phone.
Well, while you're ready, I'll start.
Chairs over here too.
There's the floor.
Well, I'm Mike James. I'm professor of education. I have not been to Occupy Wall Street. I have not been downtown, but I have been in communication and conversation with many of you sitting around this group right now. So I'm really eager and anxious and looking forward to what comes out of this meeting. Hopefully something that's kind of begins to take the diffuseness what's been going on so far and beginning to locate it into some kind of strategy that we can begin to implement it.
Well, I'm Ed McKenna, and I went down to Wall Street on Saturday mainly because I wanted to learn more about what was going on, and it was good to finally see some kind of thing developing to deal with the enormous problems that have been developing for the last 30 years. So I was anxious to basically just show my solidarity with the people who were there. And I'm happy to discuss what I experienced when I was there if people want to know more at some point.
I'm Simon Hay from the English department. I haven't been down to New York. I have been down to the Occupy New London protest a couple of afternoons, which is pretty cool to see people down there. But I feel like I want to hear what other people have to say rather than have things to say myself. So.
I'm Meg Segrist, Gender and Women's Studies. I was there 2 weeks ago and then was very happy to be there with many of you, both at Zuccotti Park and then also down at Times Square, which is very incredible. And to see the social movements and somebody who's participated in them for much of my adult life, this is very exciting to me. Potential, like how it can move. I think it's very smart. I also think, though, the horizontalism of the movement, you should be very careful about giving professors too much of the chance. Stop right there. You have to have a sort through this in a kind of multi-generational conversation rather than more a student.
Do you want to move into? questions to friends.
I'm David Kim. I teach here in religious studies. I want to echo what Matt said. Despite what the media is characterizing as a disorganized phenomenon, I think it's actually rather well organized. And it's, what I saw both on Saturday and Sunday, and the people I've talked to in different parts of the country, it is led by your generation, not ours. Right? And it is led by it is animated by a lot of responses to your specific discontent. So just to disagree a little bit with Mike, I think you should use this space as well as possible to figure out what your specific interests are.
That's my point.
Right, and not be driven by, pedigreed folks, right? But to voice your concerns, to voice your anxieties, right? There was a lot of open invitation. This is one of the most impressive things. A lot of very generous listening that was happening. I was in Times Square. I was in Washington Square Park. A number of you were there in Washington Square Park, and it was very impressive to see how the students were inviting other students and other voices to a process and to let a process grow. And so I invite you to do the same.
So on that note, we want to open up the floor to everybody here and encourage anybody, if you've been or if you haven't been to, we have a lot of people here, so maybe doing individual introductions is a lot, but if you have some burning question or a burning statement, then this is going to start to shape how the rest of this time will be run. So anything, like if you don't know a lot, if you have something specific you're curious about, have at it, and we'll start to put together an agenda from there, and then...
Mihir is running stack, so if you want to... we need to talk about modified versus regular stack.
Yeah, we have to vote on that. So, so modified stack, for those of you who came in late, modified stack is all the people who raise their hands, we will privilege historically underrepresented groups, women, and so on. But sometimes it's hard to tell from just the appearance, so that's one of the problems with it. There might be other problems that you might anticipate, so we can vote on that, and we can say if you want stack or modified stack. In stack, you have an opportunity to directly respond to a comment or a question. You also have the opportunity to question before your turn comes in the stack itself. So it's kind of fluid in that way.
Yeah. Do you want to explain how you indicate a direct response?
Yes. So if you have just a point, you want to be on stack, you can raise your hand. If you have a direct response, you can show me 2 fingers, and I'll look at you, make eye contact, write down your name, you can put your finger down. And if you have a question, likewise, it's a direct response. Is that good?
So everyone who wants to do modified stack.
All in favor of modified stack?
All right. All in favor of regular stack?
All who abstain.
Okay. So we'll just do a regular stack. I'd like to start with a question. I agree that this movement, more than anything, is about finding voice and articulating your discontents and your needs and your hopes and expressing them publicly, which is important. So rather than waiting for you guys to start asking questions, I have a question for you. Why now? What prompted this now? These conditions have existed to a degree for generations, beyond decades, generations. Like, what prompted this now?
Stack is open.
Tough one. We'll come back to it.
Gabe.
I think it's a number of things, but particularly the idea that we're seeing right now a lot more of these sorts of uprisings against societies in other countries all over the world. And that coupled with our own problems within the country, people are realizing, maybe we're not so different. Maybe America isn't this dreamland that everybody once thought it was, and we have to address our own problems in a way that we can actually fix what's going on.
Point of order, can everyone hear him?
Also,